So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Friday talk hosted by Brahma Kumaris Leicester and Brahma Kumaris Harrow. We have a very interesting topic this evening, choosing my avatar, master or slave. Go beyond all your limitations and barriers in achieving excellence in life. And we have a very special speaker, Judy Johnson. She coordinates activities for the Brahma Kumaris in Halifax in Canada. So she's live with us this evening, although not the evening for her. She's been practicing meditation for around 24 years and has worked as a coaching consultant for many years. So very, very warm welcome. We're very fortunate to have us with us to share on this topic. Thank you. So over to you, Judy.
Thank you, Natalie. Short and sweet as requested. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Om Shanti. As Natalie said, I'm here in the sunshine of 3 p.m. and you're possibly in the dark there in the UK at 7 p.m. So warm evening to you and afternoon to me. I confess this was an interesting topic to receive. So I did have to think long and hard about this. And I was reminded actually that it's a topic that I had been involved in Mauritius some years ago with a youth group there. And they had picked the topic of avatars. And I really don't know anything about avatars. So I had to think about it for this evening's session. And I had to, look in my memory banks for some of the things that had been done before. I love topics that make me stretch and be creative. So this one definitely fits the bill. And I really appreciate the poster. I thought it was beautiful imagery with the graphics. So congratulations and thank you to whoever did this. So I think this evening we're going to explore the two, of course, master and slave, but through the lens of an avatar. So looking at, well, what is an avatar anyways? I'm going to share some pictures with you. Something I have discovered in Zoom COVID world is that I actually think in pictures. And I hadn't realized this until finding myself on Zoom and not wanting just to speak to the screen and to myself. So I brought a bunch of pictures this evening for you to think about. And so the first thing we have to explore is what is an avatar anyways? And I realized that there are actually, two versions. I have mostly the computer generated idea that comes to mind for me when I hear the word avatar. But of course, long before we had computers, avatar being an incarnation of God, like an incarnation of a divine being in the human form. So that's actually the origin of this word avatar, which puts the computer generated graphics very much into their time, which is quite recent in history. But this is the one that probably most of us who are not by birth in an Indian family more familiar with, which are these electronic images, which are created and apparently very sophisticated, where somebody actually has the computer imagery connections on them, and then on screen, whatever persona they're playing or character they're playing shows up like this here. It's becoming quite a fine technical art these days. And these were taken from something called Alter Ego, where people are doing singing competitions using avatars and not their real bodies. Here's another one. So, but what they both have in common is an image representing a character, my character, me, who I am, but portrayed in a graphic. And whether that's a beautiful painted picture of a deity, or if it's a computer generated image like this one. And I know that people select, sometimes they make avatars for themselves online that are nothing like their personality. In fact, they're aspirational. They're what they would like to look like or be like. In this case, it's very sweet how, there's some semblance, some representation there that seems like the original. But this idea of avatar being an image that represents me. So I want to explore this a little bit more. We'll take this up, but then we have to look at which am I going to pick, the master or the slave? Which avatar would I choose for myself? And I think most of you that have been, in contact with the Brahma Kumaris for some time would know that this path of Raj Yoga is very much about becoming a master of myself. So I choose master. I'm sure most of us would, who wants to be a slave. But on a day-to-day basis, of course, if we think about this avatar as an image of me, I am appearing to the people around me and to my inner eye that remembers what I did and how I did it, and how I spoke, what I said. My own conscience, my own inner memory track will record images of myself throughout the day. So all day long, I'm kind of like a moving avatar. So this session is really going to be about, okay, let me set my features, let me set my body language, let me pick the face that represents me in a way that I am happiest with, I am most comfortable with. And the two options we're being offered tonight is master or slave. So if you're with me, that's what we're going to explore this evening. And let's start with master. And because I can't see you, I'm going to assume you're all nodding and saying, yes, go ahead. That's great. So let's start with master. Many things come to mind with the word master. And I had a quick look online for pictures because I love pictures. And so I think master chess player, master craftsman, master chef. Dogs tend to think of their people, or we think of ourselves as masters in relation to the animals. And we've got the master, the sensei in martial arts. So the word is used a lot, but of course here, when we think about mastery, we're thinking about mastering our state of mind. So becoming a master craftsman of my own mind, a master chef, cooking up the right food for my mind. We're wearing a crown of self-sovereignty. And we're sitting in a seat of self-respect, the most royal, the most elevated, the most dignified state would be what we would consider the master. So being a self-master is, of course, the Raja Yoga approach of the Brahma Kumaris. So that's how we'll take master for this evening. It's being a master of my own inner world, a master of my mind, a master of my feelings, my state of mind, my actions. I'm not compelled by any old habits or compulsions or fears or drives. I am completely a master of myself. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about this for anyone who's been to the Brahma Kumari classes or courses over time. But let's explore what that looks like a little bit, because that state of mastery is experienced in the mind. And so, of course, we here at the Brahma Kumaris are thinking about the soul, that point of light energy behind the eyes and cannot be seen with the physical eyes, but of course is felt. And especially when we start to meditate, we begin to experience almost like a throbbing, very vital and vibrant energy that is me, the thinking being in this body. Here you see the graphic as a reminder of that. But whatever quality of energy I am experiencing inside my mind will be the energy that shows on my face and shows in my actions and my body language and my tone of voice and my words and how I speak. So the avatar image of me begins inside with what's going on in my mind. This is a very simple premise. I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard that, but this is what we'll play with this evening. And what I'd like to explore is the qualities that are core to each of us. They're like the primary colors of the soul. Everything else is a blend of these original qualities of the soul. And as I do this, I'll invite you, as I just speak to each of these beautiful qualities that are the original master state of the soul, I'll ask you just to we'll stop just for a couple of seconds, half a minute maybe, after each of the qualities, just for you to generate that energy, experience that energy in your mind. And this we call meditation, of course. It's about regenerating, creating this energy through thoughts, but creating it as feelings in my mind so that it becomes the energy that animates my avatar. So I'm just going to go through a series of them, and we'll reclaim them as we do. So probably not new to you, but of course, we think about the very nature of each of us, very nature of the soul. At the core of my being is a reservoir of love. It's like the starting state for the soul, an energy that is just generous, generative and generous. It's a giving energy. I'm always expressing, I'm always giving. So love being one of our master qualities of the soul. So let's just take just even 10 seconds and just close your eyes, if you will, wherever you are, unless you're driving and listening. But otherwise, just take a moment, close your eyes. And we do this as a bit of a drill. How quickly can I master whatever else is going on in my inner world and just bring love to the surface? So bring the experience, bring the energy of love right now into your mind. Let it fill your mind as you breathe in and out. Perhaps a little smile starts to curve when you begin to fill your mind with love. The next one, again, master quality of the soul, peace. Our fundamental nature is a stillness inside, a complete quietude, tranquility that is untouched by the outside world. So take a moment, close your eyes, and reconnect with this master quality of the soul, peace. Perhaps just say the word to yourself, peace, or allow any of these images to help you create the energy of peace in your inner world. The next quality we can explore, we can remember, is happiness. Core to all of us, this is underground river that flows of complete happiness, like a bubbling underground spring of energy. It's always there. One of the master qualities of the soul. Underneath the noise of the world, I may not experience it every day, but it's there. So let's just take a moment and generate this energy, bring it into our minds. Good to just check how easy these are for you to experience. Some will be easier than others, but we'll get to that in a minute. Purity. I remember when I met the BKs, it's not a word that was in my vocabulary very often, except maybe for orange juice and wool. I was a knitter, so pure wool really mattered to me. But it wasn't a quality I thought of in relation to myself. But since I've really grown to love this word, purity, an authenticity, an innocence, a genuineness, a sincerity, a trustingness, kind of the opposite of jaded and cynical, really. And I had a great deal of sarcasm as a form of humor when I first came to the Brahma Kumaris, and I noticed that it's diminished, although still there, diminished somewhat, quite a bit. So this purity, the sincerity, the real, being real, I really love this quality. So whatever it says to you, also considered one of the core master qualities of the soul. Just take a moment and close your eyes, and maybe the images help. The lotus is definitely an image for purity, untouched and beautiful, even though the muck of the roots is there. Just take a moment and close your eyes and see if you can connect to this quality of authenticity, sincerity, realness, innocence, purity. It's a cleanliness in the soul. So when you're clean, there isn't a lot of junk floating around in there. So another beautiful idea for purity, another experience of purity. All right, we'll do one more. And I hope the rush hour isn't too loud for you. It's rush hour here. So I'll turn my mic on and off. But the last one I'd like to explore today, power. And these clenched fists, but really the inner power, determination, strength, courage, dignity is a power, truth, all of these, honesty, power, ability to face things. So power is another core quality of the soul. And of course, I know when I feel powerless or when the power in me is diminishing, I become fatigued or weary, or I can't handle things anymore. So the opposite of that is just to really feel quite strong inside. So power being another one of the master qualities of the soul. Take a moment and just feel inside your own inner power. Okay, short and sweet little meditations, and sort of like a drill in a way to get there quickly. But the basic premise in the Brahma Kumaris is that these qualities are there. They're at my very core, and they are qualities that I am a master of. So our ability to call on these qualities at will is actually mastery, self-mastery, and discovering them, reclaiming them, owning them is very much the practice of Raj Yoga meditation. And of course, what would an avatar look like? What would my face look like as all of these qualities are in my mind? All of these qualities are filling my inner world. What would my face look like? What would my body language be like? It's probably something like this. So on a good day, in a good moment, this is what we all look like. So these would be our avatars, really, the avatar of the master. And I'm going to choose to kind of use the acronym for master as a mind that is always set in truth, experiences respect. So the dignity of the master is experiencing self-respect, and of course respect for others, but self-respect is the starting point. So the master state of mind would be when my mind is always set in truth, the truth of who I am, this beautiful, sparkling being with all these master qualities. That's my truth. So when my mind is set in the truth of who I am, I will experience respect, self-respect, and of course for others. So this I would like to suggest could be our master avatar, that this is what it would look like. Those beautiful faces we just saw, and the internal experience of my mind always set in the truth of those qualities, the truth of who I really am. Then I would experience respect. I have taken those qualities, and just to play with these 5, I've taken them and put them on the end of a star. So you know here that we think of the soul as a sparkling being, and star is a beautiful metaphor for that. And each ray of light, let's imagine, is one of these beautiful master qualities of the soul. And I've put them out as rays of light in order to create a star chart. It's something that I work in organizational development, and we would call it a spider chart, assessing criteria for an organization along these quadrants, along these lines, and then connecting them all. But I'm going to call it a star chart, change the name of it, and apply it to ourselves and our inner world. So if I were to choose the master avatar, it would mean my mind is full of these qualities all the time. So as you'll see on one of the axes here, on one of the rays of light, I have put a 1 near the very point of the star, and I have put a 10 at the very extended point of the line of that ray of light, and I put a 5 in the middle. So if you had a piece of paper, you could do this for yourself right now. And if you don't, I'll ask you just to imagine it, but I ask you to do a bit of a self-assessment in relation to these master qualities of the soul. And so it might mean thinking about, the question is, how much do I experience this master quality in my mind, in my inner world, say, now in my life? Maybe not every day, every minute, but in general, in my life right now. Say maybe 10 years ago, I didn't feel so much of this, but now I feel more of it. So at this particular phase in your life, I'll invite you to consider a little self-assessment and to just place there how much of each of these qualities do I have in my mind, in my inner world at this time in my life? So if I have very little, I would put a little 1. Or if I have a lot, I would put 10. So purity, if I'm feeling, that my inner world is just very clean and I feel very sincere and very trusting and very trustworthy and very innocent in a good way, not naive, but like sweet. If I'm feeling that, I put a 10. And, for me, I would not put a 10. I would put a 6 or a 7 on that one. Love, how much love am I feeling, experiencing in my inner world? In other words, how much of this quality, my core master quality, is available to me? Am I accessing on a daily basis? And therefore, it's in my conscious mind and my conscious experience of myself as I move through the world. So I'm just going to give you a moment in silence for you to consider this. Pen and paper, really, it'll be easier to keep track of, and it'll be easier for the next steps for you to have a pen and paper. But I realize not everyone will, so that's fine. Just do it in your own mind. Give yourself a number of how much you have at this time in your life. So I'm going to put on mute for a moment and let you think about that. I hope you're enjoying doing this. Hope it's not too hard. And I'm pretty pleased with what came out for me this time. I'm a little higher in 2 that I would have been lower on even just a year ago. So that's great. Now, wherever you are, whatever number you've picked, doesn't really matter. It's an honest assessment. But I find for me, it's useful from time to time to check in and see, because this is actually the basis of my mastery. And as just suggested, that when my mind is set in these qualities, the truth of myself, which is all these qualities, then I will experience respect. And I want the master avatar. That's my choice. So I want to grow these qualities, and I'd really love them all to be 100%. And if they were, I would be like full. I would be full. But at this point, I'm not. So you'll see an overlay here. I think I did this yesterday. I don't know if this represents where I am accurately, but I just did this to play with. So connect all your lines, and that's what makes it look a little bit like a spider web, but it's a star chart. So you'll see in a minute. So this is your state of mastery right now. This is the extent to which the master qualities of the soul are alive, active, easily accessible, filling your inner world at this moment, at this phase in your life. And I don't know about you, but none of mine are 10. I'm not completely full yet. I'm getting closer, but I'm not full yet. Moments, but not most of the time. So, we're works in progress at this time. This is a path of mastery, so I am mastering these qualities. It's a process I'm involved in. But I'd like you, if you could, just to take note of which number is highest and which is lowest. So on this particular chart, purity would be lowest, and probably love would be highest. Okay, so for yourself, if you have a piece of paper, just note, which one is highest, which one's lowest, because we will use this in the next segment as we move into, this other one, this slave business. So I hope you're with me. I hope you're following along here. Great. Oh, and lovely. Somebody even put in the chat box directly to me, which is fine. Love is the highest and purity is the lowest for the person who sent in the chat box. Feel free to put in chat box if you'd like for each other too. I'm not sure because I can't see anyone. I don't know how many are here and if you're actively able to use the chat box or not. But if you are, feel free to pop that in the chat box. And not if you don't want to, that's fine also. So that's the mastery. That's sort of from a spiritual perspective as a Raj Yogi. That would be for me what I would consider to be, if I were to choose the master avatar, it would be on the basis of my ability to master, to have these master qualities alive and well in me and active. Okay, I see somebody else is sharing. Thank you. It's fun to at least hear there's a human being out there. Love was 1, power 2, 3 was happiness 4. Oh, you've done a descending. Great. Okay. So we'll all be different, and that's part of our process. Okay, hang on to your results because we're going to come back to that in a couple of minutes. But right now, I'd like to explore this other one, this one that's really hard. Even the word hurts. I find this word hurts me. I have a hard time saying this word. And any imagery associated with it hurts as well. But we are here exploring master or slave. So let's explore what slave means from a spiritual perspective. And I worked for about a decade in Latin America, and I worked in villages with campesinos. So village people, campesinos are their name, vibrant, with local indigenous movements. Popular theater, popular education, liberation theology, all of these movements of the grassroots of the people. And it was such a vibrant time in my life. And I came home to work. I came back to Canada to work in Canada. And my first job I was hired to do was to work inside a major healthcare system in the north, servicing our Inuit and Innu people. We used to call them Eskimos, but the Inuit people there. And I was shocked to see that all of these, they were mostly Indian-bodied and white-bodied. So Canadian medical personnel, healthcare professionals, and a lot, because in our north, very many souls come from India. It's the only place that they are allowed to if they put in their time and work for a couple of years in the north, then it's an easier track to become a Canadian citizen. So most of our north is serviced by medical professionals that have come from India. We are so fortunate to have them. And anyway, so I was with this gathering of people, and they had good salaries. They had really great working conditions. They had reasonable living. It was the north. So, and their pay was really high because, of course, they had not danger pay, but they call it northern allowance. And I was amazed at how I found the campesinos in Latin America, who were physically poor, oppressed in so many ways, were much more vibrant of spirit than the people I met in this work that I did for a year in the north. And that's when it occurred to me, that was before I met the Brahma Kumaris, that's when it occurred to me, oppression takes many forms. And it may be physical, it may be social, it may be economic and political, but it can also be mental and spiritual. So my pathway in spiritually to understanding slavery of the mind really was that experience, which was very powerful for me. So I would like to define slave in the spiritual sense as any time I am subservient to lower and vicious energies. So slave avatar, slave choice, master or slave avatar. If I was to choose one, the slave one would be one that is subservient to lower and vicious energies. We know, so basically my mind is enslaved. I might be free to live with a good paycheck and lots of consumer items and everything that I need and want, but my mind is enslaved to lower energies, and my inner world looks like this, and my avatar looks a lot like this. And that's when I sign up for the Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga meditation course, is when I look like this. So slavery is really of the mind in this case. So looking at our little star chart, I was struck one day when I was teaching the course here, the meditation course here, how, we think of the soul in its fullness, in its completeness. If I had every one of those master qualities to their fullness, I would be like the full moon. We use that metaphor of the full moon. I would be shining brightly, or a star that's shining brightly, however you want to think of it, but I would be full. And because I'm not full, these vicious energies become filler. So where I'm lacking in love, I cannot experience 100% the love that is within me. I will use a vicious, lower energy for filler, because the soul cannot tolerate being empty. Emptiness of any kind is intolerable for the soul. So what we do so that we don't feel empty is we fill with these lower and vicious energies. So your highest and your lowest becomes important in this area, because the one I have less of course, will be, and you can see on the screen, you can see right here, sorry, I'm pointing to my right here, you can see how there would be much more filler here, because there's much less purity experienced by the soul. This is a premise I want to explore a little bit further with you. But first, let's explore the avatars that go with these lower energies. And anyone who's, we speak of the eclipse here. So these lower energies actually block the beautiful light of the soul from shining naturally as it would if it wasn't blocked, right? So the light behind, the moon coming in front of the sun, we call it an eclipse, right? Or a planet in front of, but it's blocking the light. The light is still there. It's just blocked. So these lower energies block my natural sparkling brilliance. It's still there, but not visible to me. So I want to escape. I want to get out of the slavery that this happens. So we talked about the vicious energies here in the Brahma Kumaris. We refer to them sometimes as algae. And it's just a good acronym. It helps us remember them. So we've got this beautiful sparkling soul, but it's covered with algae. And the five lower energies, vicious energies that we work with here, that we identify here, are the 5, and probably most of you know these, but I'll just say them again. So anger being one of them, lust, or the sort of voracious desire, greed, always needing more, attachment, and ego. Probably not unknown to you, but I'd like to see the avatars for these. So, the internet is full of avatars for these things. You don't find so many of the nice avatars. I was really struck. I went looking for some images, and boy, you put in anger avatar, hundreds of images. I had to pick the most benign, the one that I could tolerate for the purpose of this activity. So here we go. There's our anger avatar. So just think about how the lower or the vicious energy of anger changes when that energy is in my mind, eclipsing my natural qualities. Then how does my face change? I may not look like that. That's a bit extreme. I'll give you that. But how does it change? So then my image, the image of me, the body, the face, the body language, the way I move myself changes. And my avatar, while it might not look quite like this, it's changed. And so, of course, we know there's a continuum on the anger continuum. We can go from, slight impatience to a little irritation, to frustration, to anger, to what we recognize as anger, a build up inside, to rage. So as I describe these, please consider which one of these might be enslaving your mind, because we want to choose the master avatar, not the slave. So we're just going to go through each of these energies, and any word that you recognize and you go, oh, yes, I have that impatience, then that's the one you're going to have to watch out for. You know, most BKs, regular students, know these pretty well and are watching for them all the time. So excuse me if I'm preaching to the choir, but for anyone who hasn't done this process before, that's the first one, anger. Second one, lust. Lots of these images on the internet for sure, but they're very much just about desire. And I'll give you the continuum here. So liking something, it becoming a preference, becoming an attraction, a desire, and then even rejection is a form of lust. Rejection and obsession. But rejection is also connected to attachment. But anyways, the point being that there's shades of gray on the continuum of lust, but desiring things, wanting things, right? And then, of course, the objectification of somebody, not seeing them for who they really are inside, just seeing them for their body. So that's a lower energy that can fill my mind. Greed. It's a pretty great little avatar, this one. Pretty disgusting, but there you go. There's the greed avatar. So you think about how my face changes when the energy in my mind of greed. I would like a little more. Oh, I must have more. Now I'm unsatisfied. I'm disgruntled. I want to consume. It becomes an addiction. So this character, of course, is pretty addictive looking. The avatar of greed. So this energy is one of the lower vicious energies. This one, attachment, you see the mine across the top. Great avatar for attachment. And again, a continuum. You start to feel a little insecure. You need something, a habit, a thing, a person to fill that little insecurity. Hang on. Then it becomes dependent, becomes controlling, and then very possessing. So the attachment continuum is one of those. And I'm just saying all these words for you to see, do I recognize any of those in me? Because that would be my susceptibility, I guess, for having my mind enslaved. Next one. Oh, yeah. Oh, we did attachment. Oh, so we're on ego already. Oh, that was fast. Here we go. Ego. So this is our last one. He looks a little angry to me, but he also looks a little bit arrogant. So I picked him for the ego. And again, this is just a vicious energy, a lower energy that when it fills my mind becomes subservient to it. Each of these energies makes me, the soul, subservient. In other words, eclipsing my light, takes over my inner world, right? Therefore, I take the back seat. So ego on the continuum, you know, an ego is great. It's got the two faces. It's got the inferior, I'm less than, and it's got the superior, I'm more than. So that I put myself down. I criticize and critique myself. I'm sensitive to, very, very sensitive to insults. I'm defensive. This is all the ego continuum. And then flipping it, I'm seeking praise to make myself feel better. I'm critiquing, criticizing others, and I'm feeling better than everyone else, arrogant. So whether it's against myself or against others, I'm less than, more than. I have not right-sized myself. I'm thinking of myself as bigger than, greater than, or less than, smaller than others. I think most of us recognize these things. And just a reminder, those are the lower and vicious energies that invade my mind and make me subservient, make me a slave. There they are, the avatars, slave avatars. Yeah. I don't want any one of those. Do you? No, I don't think so. So we know on any given day, most of us are kind of a little bit of both, right? We've got our beautiful soul quality shining through, and then we also have our, every now and then, these other qualities invade. Yes, I can show the greed slide again. Here we go. Greed. So there's the image. I'm thinking you're going to want the continuum, right? The words. So, if you don't have enough, it's sort of like always being dissatisfied, always being disgruntled. And this can be for things, it can be for experiences, it can be for qualities. I don't have enough time. It can be for anything. Is that okay for whoever asked? Give me a thumbs up and we'll move on. Yeah, great. Okay. So there they are, the 5 and what does slave stand for again? Subservient to lower and vicious energies. So when my mind is subservient to any of these energies, I become a slave. Can we do one for the positive qualities? Yes, we're going to come to that in a minute. So let's look back at this picture of your star chart. And let's just play a little bit. We've only got a few minutes before we open the floor, but let's just play a little bit. Each one of these algae, so each one of those slave avatars is actually paired with one of the master qualities of the soul. I wonder if you can guess which one is a substitute. So we use them. We actually use these energies as filler, as a substitute when I'm not experiencing my own original qualities. So I'm going to play with one just to give you a hint and see if you can figure out the rest of them. So let's say peace. Yes, love with attachment. Thank you. So yeah, fill the chat box if you would like. I'm going to play with peace just as an example. Anger, it makes no sense that anger would be a filler for peace. Like, anger doesn't give me peace at all, except examine it a little bit closer. If I'm not feeling peaceful, if I'm feeling quite peaceless, very often after somebody gets angry, they experience peace for the first few seconds. It's like the boiler blew, the pressure valve went off, the anger outburst, and whoof, for the minute after, I feel peaceful. Right? It's clearly not sustainable, doesn't work in the long run, becomes an addiction. We know all that. But bottom line is anger is being used as a filler for peace. Isn't that weird? And also, that could everybody be quiet? I need peace. Using anger to get yourself the peace that you want. So trying to control your environment to get peace is another way that anger is used as a substitute. So let's see if you can guess any of the others. Somebody said love and attachment. Very good example. And I don't know if I have a slide that does that one. Oh, look, I do. Isn't that great? Yes, look at that. So yes, love, if they always say, if you love it, set it free. So if I don't have enough love, I'll hang on to it. That's how love and attachment work. So attachment's a substitute energy for love. When I don't have enough love, when I'm not able to access my own love at the core of me, not able to access it, I will hang on to someone else as filler. They'll give me a bit of love. This will make me feel a bit loved, right? And you can see, so somebody else has put another one, purity and lust. Thank you. I didn't do any more. Purity and lust, of course. So purity, the innocence, there's no lust when you're pure, right? Everybody's, innocent with you. So purity and lust, definitely those two would be companions or fillers. Ego to power, great one. When I feel powerless, in other words, I don't have access to my own inner power, I use ego to prop me up. It becomes like a crutch, right? I might use my position or my qualities or whatever to think I'm better because I'm feeling really powerless, which is a wonderful hint. Wonderful clue. When we see somebody using ego, we know in that moment they actually feel powerless, right? Really allows compassion there. Okay, so there they are. You guessed most of them, and here they are on the screen. So have a quick, now this is the come home moment. This is a punchline moment where you look at, The one where is lowest on my list. So on your own self-assessment, the one that master quality you have less available, you experience less in yourself right now, means that the other is going to be operating in you. That other lower energy is going to be operating in you, maybe in a very incognito way. It's a little bit like a blind spot. So it's worth investigating. How is that other energy? Because it's filling the gap. Something's got to fill the gap. That's the energy that's filling the gap. On the one that you had the most of, the master quality you have the most of, chances are you have become a master of the opposite energy of the filler. So if love is my highest, as it is in mine, let's say, then it means I'd be a master of attachment. What does that mean? It kind of means I've conquered it. Yes, it's still there, but it doesn't deceive me. Why? Because I have enough love to know the difference. I know what love feels like. I know what attachment feels like. I don't like attachment. When it happens, I don't want it. I'm very quick to want to get rid of it. So when we have enough of the master quality, the slave avatar, the slave energy, doesn't operate on me. Where I have less of the quality, it takes over. You get the idea, right, from the picture. Okay. Okay, so master slave, you choose. Here, it's pretty simple. You feed the master qualities of the soul, then automatically you are starving the slave avatars. Right? If you're feeding all of those beautiful qualities we just showed, love, peace, power, purity, bliss, all those, then you're going to be starving the other ones because there's no room for them. You're going to edge them out, right? You're going to fill yourself with the others. There's no space. They cannot invade. There's nowhere for them to go. By the same token, if I'm starving those master qualities core to me, then I will be feeding the avatar, the slave avatar energies. So it's pretty much a binary code. Feed one, starve the other, starve one, feed the other. That's just kind of how it works. So I want to choose a master avatar, right? There we go. There's all my little master avatars. Now the question is how? I'm going to give you one very simple little method, and then we'll open the floor and we'll do a little meditation to end. So you get the concept, right? Slave or master avatars, they're all just energies that change the way I act, the way I look, the image that I present of myself. So how are we going to choose that all the time? We basically have to create a boundary around my core qualities. I have to create a boundary, a border around my master qualities, my inner, my mind, my inner world. And that boundary, I monitor the boundary. I check the boundaries on a regular basis. And I do that through this very simple method. And I chose a technological method because avatars are pretty technological. And this is the .com method. .com is going to be your 4 steps to choose at all times the master avatar over the slave avatar, okay, to reclaim my own mastery. So here it goes. The first one, the dot, is the full stop. Got to meditate. If I'm at work, I got to do the full stop. The full stop to what's going on in my mind, draw my attention to the dot, and then calm. Check what energy owns my mind in this moment. Is it a slave energy or is it a master energy? And reset. Pretty simple technique. That's all it is. .com. Full stop on a regular basis. Check the border, check the boundary. What's the energy? Is any energy invading my mind that I do not want there? Check what energy owns my mind. Okay, it's 5 minutes to the hour. I have to end now. Om Shanti. I do have a little meditation for you, and I have a blessing for you. And of course, the way that I'm going to empower myself to be checking the borders, the boundaries at all time, and to reset is going to be from God. So we'll sit with God in our meditation. Over to you, Natalie.
Wonderful. Well,
Oh, I can't hear you. Is it just me? Let's see. Go ahead.
I think because people have been responding to you directly, which is great, it's fantastic. Nothing is coming through at the moment. I think you've had direct comments, so great. I think we can move into a meditation if you're ready.
Great. And then I brought a little blessing for everybody too. So we'll do that at the end just to help you with your choice. Okay, here we go. So let's just take a moment. We know that the reason we're here is that we are choosing the master avatar. Let's just take a moment and come into the inner space of my mind, that beautiful inner world that is mine, entirely mine, and that I am the master of. Let me just reclaim mastery of my inner world with the full stop, the dot, visualizing that point that I am, the power that is in that point of concentrated awareness. And let me cast my mind upwards, a thought upwards with just love to the divine, beautiful energy of God, and have that shine into my mind to fill my inner space with the energy that activates my own peace, my own love, my own power, my happiness, and the purity of the real me. Because I care so much about my inner world and I understand how precious my mind is, I will practice the .com method, just full stop, and checking who or what energy owns my mind, and reset. Om Shanti. And here we go. A blessing for each of you. So pick a heart. Beautiful stylized heart. This is going to be for today, the good wish for each of you to help you strengthen the border of your inner world and strengthen your own mastery. So the master avatar, the you that walks around the world, is that beautiful being. So pick one of these, and whichever one you picked, I'm going to reveal them all at the same time and read what comes onto your screen. Here we go. This is the one for you. Oh, Shanti, everyone. Thank you. I hope that was all right.
That was amazing. I think one of the reasons that we didn't get any questions, because there was so much richness there. There was so much to take away that we were all thinking and really relating to it. But what's coming through is some really amazing comments, like it was so powerful, so creative. It was so simple, made me fly. It was so interesting, so great, so beautiful. So these are just flying through, coloured rainbows. Thank you so much. So I think we've all a bit gone to quietness, I think, really. I think for me, the part about these vicious energies that become substitutes, yeah, got to think about that. Amazing. So thank you so much, Judy. So rich. And I think many people online, actually, there are many on Facebook listening and also webcast. So that you've got a huge audience that I think are really taking this on board. And plus, at the end of it, you gave us all a blessing. So thank you for giving so much attention to this. It's and really enriching us in 1 hour. Thank you so much on behalf of everybody tonight.
Oh, thank you, Natalie. It was really fun to explore it. I learned a lot just by doing it. It's so wonderful. So thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. It was wonderful to be with all of you. Even though I couldn't see you, every now and then the little chat box made me know you were there, and it was delightful to be with you. So
yeah, another comment, fantastic. So I think we'll be inviting you back, actually. So I don't know if you can put the blessing back on again. People are quick to see it. They can see it while I just I can quickly just say to everybody while the blessings come back. Someone's asking actually to see what their blessing was.
Okay, here we go. Let me get right to the end. Okay, here we go. There we go.
Lovely, thank you. I think people want to check their blessing or write it. So thank you again, Judy. We definitely will be inviting you back very soon. Also to say that next Friday we have a talk, Principles of Self-Care, with Judy Rich, another Judy. And also we have tomorrow, if anyone's interested, Meditation in a Box. This is the Raj. We heard a lot tonight actually about the Raj Yoga course and Brahma Kumari's meditation course. At Leicester Brahma Kumaris, there's in person or there will be online the whole Raj Yoga course over 2 days. Tomorrow 9:30 start, and again on Sunday. So you can get the Zoom details from our Leicester Brahma Kumaris website, exactly the details for online, or if you'd like to come in person, please call to register. There's still time for that. So just to say thank you yet again, and have a good weekend, everyone, and take care.